The mind, the driving force that causes you to overthink, self-distract, and spend days scrolling on TikTok without seeing a single ray of sunshine. But what if you could reprogram your mind to use it to accomplish your goals and have your mind become your number one tool for unlimited focus? Or at least have you touch grass once this week? In this video, you're going to learn some secret techniques you use to reprogram your mind to like hard work so you can actually achieve your goals. How to implement the techniques to consistently get what you want, and you're going to see that reprogramming your mind is easy actually. A quick search online for how to change your life, and you might find frameworks like the Be, Do, Have model. This framework was made popular by Stephen Covey and has been around for decades. He profited massively from this model, gaining a net worth of around $164 million. Problem is, it's completely useless. Simply put, the Be, Do, Have framework focuses on who I must be, which leads me to what I must do so that I can have X. Thanks, Steve, but I'm not a hard worker, so I can't do the hard work to make $1 million or take over the world or whatever floats your boat, man. And that leaves you in a tough spot. Lucky for us, flipping that model around gives us some hope. To be the person you need to be in order to achieve your goal, your mind has to have evidence of that in order to believe it, which is why 99% of affirmations do nothing for you. If you tell yourself, I'm rich, I'm a billionaire, while you're living in a cardboard box under the freeway, your mind knows that you're lying to yourself. Mel Robbins has an awesome example of this. And let's make this simple really. Your goal is to climb Mount Everest, but you tell yourself over and over again, I'm not strong, I always quit when things get hard. That's the B. So then you act like someone who's not strong, who quits easy, and that's the do. You don't climb Mount Everest, which is the have. To switch that, you need to have massive amounts of evidence to prove that to be incorrect. Meaning, I went and worked out. I also did a few extra reps when the workout was hard. So now my mind starts to think,
wait a minute, who are you?
I actually am strong. I do keep going. And that changes what you can have. So it's do, be, and then have. Now you have a model that will work and is simple to follow. You might be thinking, that's great, but I don't know what to do to start. Wrong again, my friend. The best news you can hear about reprogramming your mind is that you already know what to do. You don't have to take my word for it. You can take the words of Charlie Munger and Alex Ramosi. Both of these gentlemen believed in what is called inversion thinking. But why take their word? They achieved a very high level of success by doing things they hated doing for long periods of time, aka hard work. So how did they do it? They implemented inversion thinking. Simply put, you and I are hardwired to find problems at a very high level. If I asked you, what are 10 things you're thankful for? You might be able to do it, but most people would only be able to think of a couple things. But if I asked you, what are 10 problems in your life right now? You'd be able to name 1,000. Alex and Charlie leverage this to their advantage. The goal is to like hard work. So they would ask themselves to envision the least hardest working version of themselves. So what would that Alex do to ensure that he loses? And he would come up with a list. Some things like, I probably shouldn't have a goal. I also probably shouldn't have a routine. And I definitely should have an addiction to a non-prescribed medication. That always helps. Then he would just do the opposite of those things. Here's a list of 5 more things that keep anybody from working hard. And if you're currently doing them, stop immediately. First, starting tomorrow. If I want to reprogram my mind and finally achieve my goal, I should just start tomorrow, or heck, I'll just start next year, which means the probability of me actually getting what I want goes down. Second, take advice from lazy people who don't work hard. Those people don't know what they're doing and they don't do the work. So why would you take their advice? Third, fail once and quit forever. As soon as you start implementing the secrets that I'm going to share with you in this video, you might fail once and decide, well, I guess my mind can't be changed, I give up. Fourth, watch this video and then do nothing. Another example is the people who always say, I'm going to read 100 books this year. Just read one and then do the work. Or watch this video and then follow the steps. After you subscribe, of course. Fifth, avoid discomfort. You've had a goal for a year now. You're in pain that you haven't achieved it. All change is uncomfortable, which is something you know. So if you avoid that discomfort, you're guaranteeing the pain you feel from not achieving your goal is something you're going to feel forever. Some of these might be harsh, but I'd rather be a stickman that tells you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. That's great, but I need something more specific to reprogram my brain. These are the two best techniques I've ever received from a mentor of mine to enjoy the hard work required. When you break down the science of humans, the majority of our actions are driven by the neurotransmitter dopamine. Dopamine plays a role in how we feel pleasure. It's a big part of our unique human ability to think and plan. It helps us strive, focus, and find things interesting. Unfortunately, when you think back to the last few TikTok binges you've been on, you realize you've lost brain cells. Significant amounts of brain cells. Alarming amounts of brain cells. What this means is dopamine doesn't always help you act in your best interest. So, how can you leverage yourself to produce dopamine when you should, rather than when you're watching the worst TikToks of our generation? Let's pretend for a second your goal is to write a master thesis like Piano Puppy 0991. The way I would go about this is to load up ChatGPT, give a basic prompt, and then move on and enjoy my life because my thesis is done. But that isn't why we're watching this video. We are here to rise up against hard work and fight the good fight. Let's also pretend that Piano Puppy 0991 decided, like most of us, to break his thesis down into sections. That still leaves you with about 5 sections of 15 pages each, which is no small task. So you work for 3 hours straight until you feel like bashing your head into your desk. Taking a break at this point is a good idea for anybody, but it is a problem for the vast majority of people. When most people these days take a break, they decide to get on TikTok for 15 minutes, or go play a few games of Fortnite. And those actions give off approximately 1,442% more dopamine than writing a master thesis does. Don't ask me to show my math on that. What that means for you is you get a massive rush of dopamine during your break. And when you go back to the hard work, your mind craves another dopamine hit like the one you just had. And that will not happen from a thesis. So not only were you clipped by a 10-year-old on Fortnite, but now the hard work is more difficult than it was before you took your break. A lose-lose situation. The key is to rest and reset your brain with a boring break. Read a book. Spend 5 minutes focusing on your breathing. Or my go-to as of late, as weird as it seems, is to stare and focus on a wall for 5 minutes. Simply do nothing. In a sense, you're just boring yourself so much that you actually crave the hard work from your thesis. The dopamine you get from that is much more than staring at a wall. So now, instead of wanting to go back and lose to more 10-year-olds, your mind wants to be challenged with hard work. Your mind is now pulling you into a positive direction and is helping you on your journey. To amplify this even further, you need to continue to control what you can control, which is when and where you get your dopamine hits. To brainwash your mind into liking hard work, control the transition times during your day. What I mean is, if you have a meeting at 3 p.m., you arrive 8 minutes early. So what do? You can get on Facebook and stalk an ex's profile, or maybe play a few rounds of Candy Crush until you realize, now I'm 10 minutes late for my meeting. This is a huge rush of dopamine which rattles your brain. So instead, make a habit of doing something else during those 8 minutes. Focus on your breath, sit quietly, or even driving to your meeting, drive in silence. This will prime your mind to seek dopamine in the hard work when you get there. When a mentor shared this with me, it made perfect sense and was simple, really. What I wish he would have also warned me about was the learning curve that comes with implementing these new habits. I'm going to prepare you so you can avoid the lost time, the massive headaches, and the emotional roller coasters I went on when I implemented these habits. There's a 5-step learning curve that everybody goes through. And if you make it to step 5, that is where the reward is. Most people only make it halfway. And you most likely have done the same in some area of your life. Let's say you want to take on the challenge of improving your social skills. So you hop onto YouTube and you watch a video from Simple Really. You realize it's just a skill that anybody can learn, and it's easy actually if you follow the tips. Right after you watch the video, you're going to be in level 1, which is inexperienced optimism. You realize Stickman started as an unconfident lad but grew into a person of success, and if he can do it, I definitely can, which is true. As you jump in and try the tips in live settings, you realize, this might be a little bit more difficult than it seemed, which is level 2, experienced pessimism. You try and try and try again and realize that building skills isn't always sunshine and rainbows. And you haven't made your crush fall in love with you yet, so you get discouraged. Most people give up at this point, and they go on and try the next new thing. This is level 3, or the end of the world level, but it's not really. If you decide to be one of the few people to actually reach success, you don't give up on yourself and you try a few more times, that's when you realize you are making progress and things are getting better. That's level 4, which is informed optimism. You keep building more and more momentum and eventually you reach success, or heaven island, or whatever you want to call it. This learning process applies to everything in life, from learning to like hard work or learning to build a YouTube channel. The speed at which you go through this curve dictates your intelligence level. So how can you decrease the time it takes to get to level 5 or Heaven Island? It's simple, really. Let's use the Alex Hormozy example. He holds up a red card. He then slaps you. It hurts. He holds up a red card again. He slaps you. It hurts again. He holds up a red card again. He then slaps you. And surprise, surprise, it hurts again. This time, you can barely see the red card he holds up, but you decide to duck. His slap misses. You learned. The faster you recognize patterns, the faster you can progress. To brainwash or reprogram yourself to like hard work even faster, increase the quality of the reps you're getting, or in this case, the slaps. And there's 3 ways to help you maximize your brainwashing. First is to control your environment. If you're wanting to write a thesis, you have Google Docs pulled up on one monitor, you've got a sketch stream pulled up on a second, Fortnite is on and ready on your Xbox, and you've got a little brother rushing in the room every other minute, that will not help you. There's too many dopamine sources to distract you. Second, be crystal clear on your goal. If you want to reprogram your mind just because, the end of the world level becomes more than most people were willing to go through. But if you want to reprogram your mind to like hard work so you can learn how to cure cancer and save those closest to you, you have an infinitely better chance of pushing through the tough times. Lastly, make a routine that works for you to help you focus and control your dopamine. And then don't steer away from that routine. For instance, you put a video on from Simple Really and then you subscribe to the channel. That's a routine that benefits you. Now, Stickman can reach his goal and he can help you realize how simple life is really.